All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the American Dota League. This is game number 2 between Team Liquid and Team Dignitas. My name is Mont. With me tonight is MY John. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and I'm excited to see this game too. Really love the best of 5 series because we get to see everything these two teams have up against each other in store, and maybe Dignitas is going to pull out something different this time around, as we do see the early ban on the Tree Protector.
Yeah, I think that's the smart move coming out from Dignitas. I think that they really just need to go and make Liquid uncomfortable here. Liquid's certainly very comfortable running that Tree and Protector. They've done it a lot, and I guess one of the people that pioneered that strategy, of course, is IX-Mike88. Liquid, likewise, realizing that Jakiro, a really good hero for Team Dignitas, they're going to go ahead and ban that out, but that gives, of course, Team Dignitas the Batrider, which Sneyking can play pretty effectively, but at the same time, they've already played up against Sneyking on the Batrider today, and they've done well against him, so we'll have to see how that does pan out. Liquid, of course, with the next 2 picks. The Darkseer is available, by the way, and I certainly would not put it against Team Liquid to pick that up. And that's a hero that could be pretty effective early on into the mid game and even into the late game, too. So we'll see how it does go for Team Liquid. And they're going to pick it up. So boom, already got it right. Yes.
Yeah, Darkseer in the hands of Bulba is a really effective combination. Of course, he's strong with that hero, but we do see him on occasion play a little bit over-aggressive and get caught out awkwardly. That's something he's going to want to work on throughout the duration of their boot camp and really hammer down when to be a little bit more aggressive and when to be a little bit more passive, as he did get caught a couple of times last game as a lone druid as well. But of course, that's all in the nature of being a long lane player and having to stick your head out there every single time you go into lane. But the pick up the Visage for Liquid is pretty standard for a long time now. Fluff has really pushed that hero for a while, and he loves playing Visage with the familiars and the Soul Assumption. It's a tremendous pick.
It's like he's been like kind of just rooting for Visage the entire time. He's just been like, guys, Visage is really good. Why doesn't anyone play it? And then finally G1 Lee comes around and he's like, yes, my hero, finally. So I'm actually really happy to see Liquid pick that up. I think Fluff is one of the best Visage players out there, and he could certainly play it extraordinarily well with those familiars, with the micro that he has. Gyrocopter coming out for Team Dignitas, so both teams kind of throwing everything out there at this point, going for what they're known for, going with some strong heroes as well on top of that for Team Dignitas, just with the Batrider and Gyrocopter. So with the bans, you see, of course, the Alchemist and the Anti-Mage for Team Dignitas, the Enchantress and the Chen now coming out from Team Liquid, as they don't want to give way to another Chen there. That Hand of God didn't really come into play too often in that last game, but certainly can be effective. We've seen it before from Team Dignitas and even Team Liquid as well on top of that. So, well, John, any predictions for the next hero?
I'm not going to use it for prediction because I don't think they're going to do it, but I would like to see Dignitas go for the Clockwork. I think they're going to go for the Nature's Prophet, but one of those 2 heroes are going to be in play probably just to be a little bit more standard and safe with their lineup, and both of them being available here are pretty good selections. They will pick up that Prophet. I wanted the Clock because Clock and Gyrocopter is a pretty cool 1-2 punch, but certainly the Nature's Prophet is a well-deserved pick as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't put it against you for not using your pick there. I think Nature's Prophet, honestly, you picked it correctly. You said they're going to pick up the Nature's Prophet probably, and you were right. So there is that. I mean, and they did get that going for them. They have the Weaver on Team Liquid, which is not a huge surprise. There is no living armor, but we saw how effective Weaver can be even without that. The main key, though, however, coming out from the side of Team Liquid is that they don't have a whole lot of lockdown here. You've got Visage Familiar Stones, which you get at level 6. You've got Vacuum, which is okay, I suppose. And that's about it. You have a Sprout coming out from Team Dignitas right now. You've got the Homing Missile, which is it's hit or miss. Literally, I suppose. Batrider, of course, has the Lasso. He's got the Sticky Napalm on top of that. So Liquid may be looking for a little bit of lockdown here with their next pickup, as they have another support they can grab, or potentially a mid. So we'll see what they want to do. They've got 1 minute and 30 seconds. It will be that Sand King, so that's exactly what I was talking about. Yes! I want to see more of this. Excellent. I love the Sand King.
I like Sand King a lot too, especially with the Weaver early on in the game. Those 2 can combine for a lot of damage. It looks like it's going to be a Weaver tri-lane or a Weaver mid. It's hard to decipher which one it will be until we get into the game or see the last pick, but the response from Dignitas is a Rubik pick, and Rubik still being available is a great selection, of course, one of the better supports. Getting it at the 4 spot is pretty good, and now you can see Dignitas' team has really taken shape. They have that hard lockdown with the Batrider, Gyrocopter with the AoE, and his carry potential, Nature's Prophet, to come in and solidify that tri-lane, also give you a little bit of pushing on top of that. Question early is going to be whether or not the Nature's Prophet decides to start off in the jungle, if he's going to try and contest the lane, because if Liquid are running a Weaver, Visage, Sand King tri-lane, that lane is dangerous, and I would not want to be anywhere near it. So I think you kind of have to just swallow the bullet and really just start off in the jungle if you think that's what the case is.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. That is a lot of damage early on. A lot of just damage that could absolutely obliterate you, and they'll have to be very careful about that. There are going to be some pickups here. 2 more pickups to go. The last band's Naga Siren as well as the Lone Druid, so a smart band coming out from that Lone Druid. And I mentioned Boba not playing that Lone Druid a whole lot, and he played it pretty effectively. He got his farm. I mean, he wasn't very noticeable early on in the game, but once he got his Midas going, he got the Radiance. He started to get some roots as well, and that's all it really takes for a Lone Druid. You don't have to be super great at micro to be that effective as a Lone Druid player. We saw him maybe overextend, like you say, once or twice in that game, which is kind of, I guess, his MO from time to time, which is something, like you said, he has to work on at boot camp. But when he's playing his confident game, he can play just as good as everybody in terms of in that off-lane position. So looking at Team Liquid right now, 1 minute and 15 seconds for reserve time. They've got some time here to think about what they want to send mid up against that Bat Rider, which is what it's probably going to be. I don't think they're going to send anything else mid. They're going to go with the Dragon Knight, and this is something that EG loves to do. Bane's going to come out from Team Dignitas, so they've got their lockdown as well on top of that. And 2 solid drafts here. I love both drafts from both teams here.
Yeah, I think they both did a good job. Liquid have a little bit more mid-game oriented team. They don't really have that hard carry to fall back on in the late game, whereas Dignitas do have the gyrocopter in hand, as well as Nature's Prophet toward the later stages of the late game. So I definitely think Liquid are going to try and really bring the fight to Dignitas a little bit earlier, similar to what they did last game, getting down some towers with consistency. Meanwhile, Dignitas have a much better team for trying to defend the towers between the flat cannon and Bat Rider being able to initiate and lasso somebody, as well as the secondary hard lockdown with the Bane. Bane's a hero that, for whatever reason, is just phased out of the competitive scene, and it's good to see him back because the Fiend's Grip going up against a hero like Weaver is so important. We did see Korak at Lincoln's last game, but that's an expensive item, and you want to force the enemy to have to purchase it up because that's a whole lot of money he can allocate in a different way if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will see how that does go for the side of both Liquid and Dignitas. We're going to jump into the game. We're going to get a quick pause real quick as we do jump into the game, but with some introductions going. On the side of Team Liquid, we've got Fluff and Stuff on the Visage. Bulba will be on the Darkseer. TC going to be on the Dragon Knight. IX Mike 88 on the Sand King, and Korak will be on the Weaver. And John, Dignitas is all yours.
Team Dignitas, our Radiant team for the game. We have AUI 2000 playing the Gyrocopter, Bane being played by Way Too Sexy, Snaking will be playing the Bat Rider, and Fogged on Rubik that leaves Universe playing Nature's Prophet. It looks like we're about to resume and get going with Game 2.
Yes, so this is the American Dota League, guys. Game number 2 for the semifinals. Winner will go to the grand finals. Loser goes down to that third place game, excuse me. Now, if you want to watch in game, please purchase up a Dota TV ticket. It's $5 in the Dota store, I believe. And of course, really, really great stuff here. Really great action. I mean, you're getting potentially five games each series that we cast from now on up until this point. So, might be worth it if you're a big American Dota fan out there. I know a lot of people are tuning in on stream, so thanks for joining us here. Once again, I am Mott. With me is NWine John. And yeah, looking for some good Dota. And yeah, of course, our stats man today will be Ryan from Join Dota. So thank you very much to him for joining us tonight. Looking at, of course, the side of Dignitas, they're going to send some 5-man aggression for the time being. Actually, 4-man aggression because Universe is down here back in that well. But 4-man aggression going out into the jungle. Looks like Liquid want to do the same thing, but heading, of course, in that same direction down to that bottom lane right now. And this is going to be potentially dangerous if they do catch Dignitas out of position. I mean, Furion's not really there to help out. He can't TP in. Of course, he's only level 1, so that's something you have to keep in note. And yeah, they might run right into each other here, and IX Mike could definitely start with an early Burrow Strike and get a couple of kills here. And they'll back off immediately, realizing they see Mike, they see them being aggressive down here. They're showing their faces, essentially. And we'll see if they decide to rotate their lanes around a little bit. If they want to do Korak safe lane and throw up Bulba in a tri-lane with that Darkseer, I don't expect that to happen. They should be okay with Bulba down there on his own, on his lonesome, if you will. But, wow, it's a staggering number. And Dignitas, of course, they didn't get blown out in that last game either. So you got to expect them to maybe put on a better showing here. Snaking might be a little bit more comfortable on this Bat Rider. It's going to be certainly a better matchup against TC, I think. I mean, the sticking napalm, the damage that you can do coming out from the Bat Rider. So hopefully Snaking, like you said, he's a polarizing figure in terms of what games he can do well and what games he doesn't. And it really varies from game to game. It's difficult to tell how this game is going to go for him, but you hope he's got a good start going for him right now. And Way Too Sexy, spotting out IX Mike. So he is heading down here in this bottom lane. It looks like it's going to be Fluff, IX Mike, and of course Bulba in that tri-lane for now. And this is something that you see from time to time. I've known EG to run this, but a couple American teams as well. But they might just go ahead and do dual lanes as Fluff is maybe heading back to that top lane for now, at least to the mid for the time being. But this is an interesting laning setup early on here.
Yeah, mid, the Batrider versus the Dragonite is definitely the most favorable matchup for Dignitas on the board. In terms of the solos. So it's going to be important to maybe get some support involvement. But the way Liquid are set up with a Weaver and bottom lane and telekinesis is going to be casual. And at Darkseer, you have two laners that can pretty much function independently. So they can have free roam supports. They can go back and forth between whatever lanes need assistance or whatever lanes have the best opportunity for kills and do so with good level of comfort. They're going to go on way too sexy down here.
Way too now getting Grave Shield. There's the Brain Set. Might actually save his life. Rocket Barrage is available for IE 2000. He's not going to use it just yet. They're going to go ahead and counter ward here. IX Mike being very aggressive with that Burrow Strike. So they're showing they're not going to be afraid down in this bottom lane. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. You mentioned how they could be free roaming. You do have Bulba who can be independent. So Liquid, of course, they're going to be trying to get pickoffs all over the map. And it's going to be tough here. I mean, Universe, he should be okay in this matchup. He's already doing a lot of damage to Korok up in this top lane, which is very surprising to me. The Treants are doing a nice job of harassing him. And that's going to be tough to deal with.
This is something you really like to see, is the early detection on one of the solo laners against Weaver, because Weaver, even though he outputs a good amount of damage, is very vulnerable early on in the game. So if you have one way to cope with him, you can force him to take far less risks, and as such get some extra punishment damage too. And so I really do appreciate that move from Universe. It's kind of difficult to spend that kind of money early on in a game like this when you could have stats or some regen instead, but it certainly is worthwhile. And middle lane, this harass damage onto Dragonite is really starting to add up. This is a lane that Snaking really should thrive in. He should have no issues at all. And so far, he's doing well in the CS, but not getting nearly enough denies. It's hard to deny a Dragonite completely because of the Breathe Fire, of course, getting a lot of his last hits, but you're still going to have to get some of those extra auto attack denies. Otherwise, if he's breaking even with you, you'd probably say Dragonite is winning the lane in that regard, since you do have such a lopsided matchup in favor of Batrider.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. Snaking should be theoretically just dominating this lane right now. With that double damage, though, he's got to be careful. TC's not going to have any range until he does get level 6 in that Elder Dragon form, and then he should really be able to do some work on snaking on a tower necessarily as well. Universe in that top lane, they're just trading hits. Korok and him are going toe-to-toe essentially, and well, two players that know each other pretty well. The Swarm's going to fly out as well. Korok doing a lot of Shikuchi. The Dust is going to go. Universe in some trouble right now, taking a lot of damage. He is going to grab first blood. Korok, nicely done there on Universe. A little bit of a mistake coming out from the side of Universe, so not really sure what was happening there. I don't know if he really estimated that Shikuchi damage and Geminate attack was going to be able to hit on top of the Swarm, of course, and Universe is rather squishy on that H Prophet too, so a little bit of a mistake. Not the biggest deal. He's got a TP down bottom. You can see IX Mike is going to be nightmared right up. There's the telekinesis, the Rocket Barrage as well. He's going to try to Burrow Strike out. Will maybe be able to make it there. The homing missile gets disjointed from this, of course, Sandstorm. IX Mike gets in trouble. One more right click there. Does the job. Universe grabbing the kill. And AUI 2000 also getting some, of course, Rocket Barrage damage on the other two heroes in that lane. So a nice turnaround trade there. They'll grab IX Mike, but of course, Universe did give up that first blood. So at least they will trade that. Meanwhile, mid lane, you can see the Firefly is going. TC's going to get Flame Break back. There's 4 stacks for him right now, so TC can't get too close here. And still, though, the CS is, pretty much tied right now. TC can't necessarily get too close. Another stack, and that'll be potentially dangerous here. He's got 6 stacks. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. The slow. Oh, the slow. You can see how slow he's moving right now. 7 stacks. TC's like, please. Snaking. Enough. That's too much.
Yeah, and Dragonite is sitting on so much stick charges right now that he's just trying to bait out Snaking in his over-aggression, but Snaking's going to get caught on the high ground.
This is exactly what you're talking about. Bait out there. Of course, Burrow Strike, the Dragon Tail, Snaking is not going to be able to escape this one. The Soul Assumption, TC getting the kill with the Breathe Fire. Nicely done coming out from the side of Liquid. We saw it before in the previous game, and Snaking getting a little too aggressive there, thinking he should win that matchup, and he should, but not realizing those heroes were missing, and they immediately go from a gank down in the bottom lane, where Liquid, of course, lost a hero, to a mid lane gank on Snaking, which makes it really, really easy for Dragonite to get some farm. In fact, he's going to grab a rune as well, and get rune control, and almost level 6 on top of that. And they're in a good position now, too. So, but if we do look at the last hits, we do see 20 going for the side of the Gyrocopter and 15 for the Weaver. So Korok's not getting nearly as much farm, but that's not necessarily a problem. I think Korok is a hero, or Weaver is a hero that can thrive on doing a lot of damage without necessarily that much farm as well. So we'll see how he does play through this mid-game as well. And Dragonite's going to be doing a lot of work and carrying, I guess, through the mid-game on top of that.
Yeah, and if you're a Dignitas fan, you're already a little bit more comfortable because they're getting AUI that good start that he needs to have. He already has a good amount of CS leading the way with the 23, whereas last game his CS was pretty unstable and he wasn't getting as much early on with that Alchemist. But we do see a heavy emphasis now in the bottom lane as the supports are rotating out for Dignitas. This could be a really bad timing for Dignitas if they're going to surge up here.
Yeah, they're going to look for an IX Mike stun, and just barely missing, just trying to go for that full range stun, but it is only level 1. As you can see, the range, of course, does increase through level, and here they go with the wraparound now coming in. You can see the Nature's Wrath is going to fly. TP from Universe. Oh, double sprout going as well. The vacuum, nice disjoint from Mike, but of course they will lose Fluff. The Nightmare now going in. Do they want to dive? This is the question. IX Mike takes it up. The telekinesis right now. There goes the Rocket Barrage as well. Will they go? Will they fall down? Yes. Fall gets one. They get the other one. They take all 3 heroes down in this lane. Dignitas with a huge gank coming down to that bottom lane. And that's exactly what they needed. And Bane making his way away from that tower. He will take a few tower hits, but not a big deal. Aoi 2000 finishing up his phase boots right now, and that's going to give him more damage on top of that. And he's going to get a salve too. So now a 750 experience lead and a 500 gold lead. That's still pretty minimal at best, but getting out of those kills and assists, definitely what you want to have happen.
That was an amazing play from the Dignitas supports. I mean, being able to wrap like that after Liquid commits so hard and just come a little bit short with that stun not connecting and getting 3 kills, it just throws this tri lane wide open, and really is going to force these supports to stay down here even more so than they were before when they wanted to roam a little bit more around the map. So that's going to help them out in middle and top as well. And we do actually see IX Mike going to rotate towards middle, but he's just going to do some warding duty. He really needs that level 3, level 5 even, to have that extra range on the stun right now, because that is the difference between the successful ganks and the poor ganks so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mentioned the range earlier, and you talked about it just a second ago, and I definitely think that is going to be a problem. He's not getting a whole lot of experience right now. You can see he's heading up to the top lane, maybe looking for a gank on Universe here. Universe has really no escape mechanisms if he gets set up by that stun. And there's going to be that damage coming out from Korok as well. Meanwhile, Universe going to be trying to get that Hand of Midas. He's got the recipe done. He wants the Gloves of Haste, but he's got to be very careful right now. You can see Liquid is leading in net worth right now, but only by a little bit on the Dragonite and on Korok as well. But Aoi 2000 getting significant farm with 35 CS, 34 CS now going for both Korok as well as Snaking. So Snaking is doing okay here, but like we said earlier, he should be having a very favorable matchup against DK, at least until it was level 6. Now DK is level 8, he's got plenty of farm, he's got his Dragon Form available again, and they might just try to go for some pushing, some towers, some fights, whatever. But at the same time, Aoi 2000, he can be a big team fight contributor with this call down as well, so there's something to look forward to for Dignitas. So it is, it's still early, 7 minutes and 53 seconds of the game. I guess, it seems very like a lot's happened here, but it's only 4-2. I don't know, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. But regardless, Snake King's doing okay here in the mid lane. TC's going to grab a haste rune, head back down to this mid lane right now. You can see coming through is way too sexy. He's going to throw up a ward, and they might actually just try to go on Snake King here. They've got Fluff with, of course, the Grave Shield available soon, and the Familiars at level 6 on top of that. Right now, everybody's just kind of playing a little passively here and just farming.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Dignitas want to happen. They want to slow down the pace of the game because they do have Gyrocopter farming very well in the bottom lane. No one's being super aggressive. We see Universe is getting his farm. He now can afford up the entirety of that Midas, but there is a hasted TC coming in from the side looking for Universe here. He's going to find him.
Yeah, there's going to be Elder Dragon Form, the Dragon Tail as well. Now TP rotations coming in from the side of Dignitas, the Sprout going. TC not really concerned about that. He's going to throw the Breathe Fire out. They want to take this tier 1 tower top, or at least just try to push it for the time being. Quark rather low. He already used his time lapse snaking, maybe looking for some sticky napalm. Trying to get to that Blink Dagger, by the way. He's at 1,500 gold, and they're going to try to take this tower down, and I think they will. Fortification is not going to go for Dignitas. They will take the tower. Meanwhile, Bulba's heading back down to the bottom lane right now as Dignitas is trying to push this with Fogged, as well as AUI 2000. There's that Midas done for the side of Universe. Now he's going to TP in down to that bottom lane, throw up the Treants, and they're going to try to push this on their own here. And now the TP rotations are coming in, so Dignitas will have to back off here. Dragon Tail and Fogged, he is going to go down. The call down is going to go, but it's only going to do a little bit of damage. IX Mike actually taking a lot of damage from that, and if they had stayed, they might have picked up a kill there, but also probably lost a few heroes in return. So smart play to just back off, realize they lost Fogged, and nothing else after that.
Yeah, they lost Fogged, and that's not that big of a deal considering the middle lane now. Bane is getting some solo experience, getting closer to level 6. Having that Fiend Script up will be amazing for him. Top lane, Batrider's getting some extra farm, so he's getting close to his Blink Dagger, about 400 gold off from that. And in the jungle, we saw Universe finding some farm as well. So it wasn't that big of a deal, really, losing your support Rubik early on in the game here when he's only level 4. Whereas they're able to get opportunities elsewhere on the map. They aren't pushing, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's because these towers are still pretty healthy on the side of Liquid right now. But way too sexy, halfway there to that level 6. And if they have the Fiend's Grip this early in the game, around the 11-minute mark, it looks like he's on path for, that's really going to be an asset for them.
And meanwhile, down in that bottom lane, Korok, that bottom jungle, just of course, he's got that Shikuchi going. Korok, he's going to time lapse away. Fog may be in some trouble. He's got no telekinesis, but here comes the side of AUI 2000. Snake King's invis up. He's looking for Korok right now. Korok is very speedy with level 4 Shikuchi. He should be able to get out of there just fine. He's just making this a really difficult task. And there's going to be the last one from the invis. Snake King. Korok is going to fall. He was not expecting that. Snake King coming out of nowhere with the invis rune, a nicely timed invis rune at that. So that's exactly what they needed, and Korok just took the wrong pathing home. A little bit of a, I guess, look at the draw there, I suppose, but...
Yeah, it was a good play. I mean, making use of that invis rune, stalking him a little bit, not jumping the gun. Definitely a wise play from Snake King there, and you can see he's playing a bit of the
Fiend's grip on
middle lane.
TC. Here's going to be a TP coming in from Universe as well. Snake King doing some damage right now. TC cannot get out of there. Batrider will grab the kill, of course, with that flame break. Nicely done. So that's 2 down in the span of about a minute. For the side of Dignitas, they'll grab those kills. Going to pick up some smokes as well. They're going to try to turn this into a big lead here. Blink Dagger done for the side of Snake King, and they've got 500 gold lead as well on top of that. AUI 2000 now taking over the commanding lead. Not commanding, I guess, but it's not even close to commanding. It's actually very little. In fact, he just lost the lead in net worth, so I'm not sure what I meant there, but... Gyrocopter now with 1,000 gold, Ring of Basilius, 3 GG branches, and phase boots. He's looking okay. Korok isn't sitting on a whole lot himself, I believe, other than the treads and the Ring of Aquila. He's also got a bottle. Drums are done for AUI 2000 as I'm talking, so... And now they're going to go ahead and smoke gank 3 heroes for Dignitas up to that top lane and maybe look for another kill on Korok, who is maybe going to be... He's probably going to head out of here in just a moment. You'd got to assume that he knows they're missing, but he's going to actually head further into the lane. They know he's here now. There goes the blink. There's goes the lasso as well. They need to get this done before, of course, he's going to be able to time-lapse away. And in fact, will not be able to get it done there, as they had that lasso going for that long duration, way too sexy with the Brain Sap and Fog with the Fable. Plenty of damage there, and Breathe Fire as well on Fog. So an easy kill coming out from Dignitas. This is exactly what they needed to do in the second game to stop Korok. TC going with his Elder Dragon form, just trying to push this. Sprout might go in a second. There it goes. TC in some trouble right now. There's going to be the Dragon Tail. Of course, the treants are being made. Nice body block coming out from Universe. Are you kidding me? Look at this. The Flame Break misses, but I'm not sure if it matters here. Still chasing after him. Fog maybe looking for a telekinesis. They're using all of these heroes here. Now the stun into Universe. TC taking too much damage to the Fade Bolt. The telekinesis back. And of course, the Nature's Wrath. Fog will grab that kill, but in the meantime, AUI 2000 is going to go down in the bottom lane as they had 3-man aggression down there. So a 1-for-1 trade, I suppose. But they had to use 4 heroes to do that in the mid lane. They almost lost one of those heroes in doing so. That bottom lane taking some damage. You can see those familiars are going to town. Dire structures are going to be fortified in that mid lane right now. Thinking about diving onto Korok. Korok's not going to make the same mistake twice. He'll back off here, at least for the time being. He does have time lapse. He's going to get a spell stone. It's going to be maybe the Swarm. Yep, it was the Swarm, in fact, coming out from the Rubik, so he'll have that. Not as good as Shikuchi, potentially, but they will take that tower. And that's a nice tower to be taken, and of course, well, they traded, I guess, 1-for-1, so...
Yeah, completes a good trade for both teams, really, just getting that extra gold on earlier here in the game, but... Now we're going to see a Blink Dagger on Batrider. We saw it in the last instance. It's around 12-minute Blink Dagger, so it's pretty good timing. TC is still looking for his drums, so he's kind of fallen behind a little bit. If we look at his net worth, he's down there at number 5 right now, even though he had a great start in terms of last hits in the lane. So it's something to keep in mind because he definitely wants those drums, but then wants to work towards probably BKB, maybe even a sheep, or actually it looks like he's just going to go for a straight BKB. He's not even going to worry about finishing up the drums at this stage. And the other thing to think about is Weaver doesn't have any items
Korok.
open in case Korok gets caught again.
Yeah, they're going to have to back up there as Ix, Mike, and Fluff are coming through. Nicely done there. I wanted to mention, speaking of items, Bulba actually picked up a mech right now, which is good because no one on the other team has started it, or is even close to starting it. I think Bane might pick up an item here in just a second here, but we'll see what they want to do with the Bane's farm. I think that, I mean, they're going to go with like Arcane Boots first, but who's picking up the mech on the side of Dignitas right now, if anybody? I mean, Universe is going for the Shadow Blade build. He's got that Claymore, and he's going to be going for his treads in just a moment. And now Liquid going in the mid lane.
That's a good question.
Oh, way too sexy. Getting a little caught out of position. Shikuchi's going to fly the mech as well. Now the lasso coming in onto the side of TC, taking some damage to the call down as well. And only the Bane's down right now. TC taking a lot of damage. The Soul Assumption onto Fog. He's going to fall right now, but here's AUI 2000. Big stun for Mike. Mike onto 2. He's going to, of course, just try to get away using that Sandstorm. There's the Rocket Barrage. Korok, of course, coming in a little too late. The Soul Assumption doing some damage onto AUI right now. The armor reduction from the Storm as well. The damage going through on top of that. He's taking some Geminid attack. They'll have to back off. A 2-for-2 trade. Dignitas only losing supports, TC going down for Liquid, but they do pick up that tier 1 tower in that mid lane. And a nice stun coming out from Ix Mike as well. And, of course, the timely mech charge coming out from Bulba, which we just talked about, too.
Yeah, that was a good fight for Liquid, but still they lose TC, and that's really unfortunate considering how tanky Dragonite is this early in the game. If Dignitas are able to output enough damage to take him down, it's not the greatest sign for Liquid right now. And I was just going to say, before that actually broke out, the Weaver not having any items towards the Lincolns, which I'm assuming is what Korok's going to go for first because it's kind of necessary in this game. This is setting up to be a really strong mid-game for Dignitas. Having both those abilities, the Lasso and the Fiend's Grip, Korok might get caught again.
Oh, that was just about to be a Fiend's Grip on Korok. He actually stopped for a second. Now they're going to look for him again. There's the sentry placed on the ground. The telekinesis right now, way too sexy, but here comes Ix Mike. They might be baiting this, as you can see. Oh, he missed it, but the epicenter is getting channeled right now. They're going to out of there. Ix Mike is going to go down. Nicely played coming out from the side of Team Dignitas. I think that was a force staff coming through from someone. Might have been Snaking, yeah. I think he might have pushed him out. There's the lasso now going on Bulba. They want a rocket barrage as well on top of that. Bulba going to mech up. Not going to matter. He's going to go down. 3 down now. Dignitas firing on all cylinders once again. They're going to take this tier 1 tower. That's going to be some nice gold going their way. And that all starts with a big pick off from Korok with that Fiend's Grip going. And if Ix Mike stuns that way too sexy Fiend's Grip, that goes potentially a whole lot more different. But I'm not sure if he could have got it done. I don't know. That was...
No, you're right. He should have stunned the Bane, and at least Korok could have time-lapsed and probably gotten out of there, but instead he went for the more aggressive play, trying to get the ultimate off, and it just didn't work out.
Wow. Way too sexy getting caught out of position. Call down's going to fly. Way too sexy will fall down here. TC now getting focused. As you can see, the call down doing some damage. Ix Mike with the burrow strike. He does not have his epicenter, by the way. Fluff doing some damage with soul assumption. Universe trying to get out, but he cannot do so. Universe is going to pick up a kill. Double kill going for Fluff, however. 2 for 2 right now. As you can see, Korok is down, and in fact, I'm not sure how he went down. I think Universe picked up the kill with the Nature's Wrath. Vacuum is going now as they're chasing after Snaking here. Aoi 2000 thinking about helping out, but siding against it. He's maybe thinking that he can get out of there on his own, but of course the soul subject is going to go and Fluff with a triple kill somehow. Now, chasing after Aoi. He's the only one left alive on the side of Dignitas. He's got a TP out now, but can he make it is the question. The Familiar coming through. Oh, the Familiar Sun barely missing. Aoi will barely make it out alive, but it... good trade coming out from Liquid. They will lose Korok and another hero again, but they pick up 4 kills, so it's a nice trade coming out from Liquid there.
I don't know. At this point, I think they could ill afford losing Korok. I mean, he only has 1,300 gold in his bank. That's his 5th death of the game. It's just through the roof, and Korok is their hard carry. Dragonite, as far as carry goes, he's good for the first 25, 30 minutes, but then he's more of a tanky hero as opposed to a damage outputter. So they really do need that Weaver to fall back on, and Weaver does require a good amount of farm there. I mean, if he's going to go for that defensive item first, then we're talking a long time before he has something like a MKB up. So every time this Weaver goes down, it just sets the clock back for Liquid right now. And Dignitas are still getting more farm in this Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter's getting close to the BKB. And when he has this BKB, the damage they're going to be able to deal in this team fight is definitely going to be limited. I mean, looking at the team composition of Liquid so far, it's only going to be auto attacks really from Dragonite and Weaver can't even stay alive, let alone avoid those hard lockdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talked about it, 5 deaths. That's really rough, and I'm pretty impressed with how Dignitas is playing this in terms of how they're just locking down Korok so hard. And we saw in the last game, he just thrived. I don't know how much he died in that previous game. It was very little, if at all. And so this game, he's just not able to get farm, like you mentioned. He's only sitting at 84 CS right now. They are going to smoke up, and this is a smart move coming out from Liquid. They're going to maybe look for a pickoff here. There is still only a 5,000 experience in gold lead. That's very minimal right now for Dignitas. They shouldn't be too comfortable here. They've got to be very careful. And Liquid with the smoke gank, they didn't walk through any Radiant Sentry Wars or anything like that. So they're going to be able to maybe just enter Dignitas' jungle right now essentially freely. Universe is going to TP to the mid lane, and that is going to be the wrong time to do that because he needs to be down bottom right now as they're going to get engaged on here from behind. As you can see, they're about to wrap around on Dignitas. Universe has that TP down for about 10 seconds, then he can enter the fight. But they're still doing a nice job, and in fact, Liquid can't find them They will find them in just a moment. They're going to turn their attention upwards here. Snaking's going to go ahead and Firefly. Universe can get into this fight in just a second here. There's going to be, of course, TC getting last at the wall. The vacuum, the call down is going right now. Boba with the Darkseer killed on Fog right now. The mech going as well. Meanwhile, Universe is going to TP in. Gyrocopter is down. Universe trying to get out of there as well. Snaking, he's going to make it away. And on top of that, Way Too Sexy will TP out. So they'll only lose 2, but a very nice smoking coming up from Liquid here.
That was a perfect bait by TC. I mean, he was just asking Snaking to come and lasso him, and once Snaking went for that lasso, that backdoor attack from Liquid was just perfectly set up, and they were really able to get it off seamlessly, because if they get in on top of the Gyrocopter, it's not the toughest thing to take him down this early on in the game, especially since he was just about to finish off his BKB, but now because of that death, he's set back and needs 300 more gold. So it really was a great bait by TC. He is still very tanky on that Dragon Knight, so getting a lasso off and not having any follow-up is not going to bother him whatsoever. So really strong plays from Liquid there, and they're going to need a couple more of instances like that.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So, I mean, TC now, he has that BKB finished. You mentioned how Aoi was close to his, not so much anymore. I mean, he is still, theoretically. I mean, he just needs a few more CS here to get that going. Looking at the other items, Universe has one Oblivion Staff in his inventory, so he's going to be going for an Orc and Malevolence more likely than not. Top lane, Dignitas, a little bit out of position. Universe has that Shadow Blade, so he's okay. Way Too Sexy, maybe not so much. He's going to be going for that mech, which we talked about early on. Bulba's had his mech since about 15 minutes, which has been, I think, really keeping them alive in these team fights, and Way Too needs to get out of here because there's a bunch of Liquid players just sitting right around here, and I guess they know that Way Too's there. Way Too's going to back off, and he can TP out at any time right now, but he's getting vision through, of course, these treants, which is nice, and he will actually TP down to that bottom lane, and that's exactly what he needs to do, as there were 5 heroes here for Team Liquid, like I was talking about, but at this point, it seems like it is slipping away from Dignitas a little bit. You can see that the experience has gone down to under 5,000 now for their lead, and gold is still roughly at 5,000, but also heading down in the direction of Liquid by a little bit as well. Gyrocopter's BKB is done, and John, I'm not sure. Do you think that Dignitas can stay through here into the late game with the way that Korok's been farming?
Yeah, I still think Dignitas are in the advantage right now. I think they really can't afford to get initiated on, though. That's going to be key for Liquid if they want to take control. They need to be the initiators, but it's easier said than done since the Sand King doesn't have enough farm to have a blink up. So it's really relying on probably Darkseer getting a vacuum off, or maybe even Dragon Knight or Weaver starting the fight, which is much riskier than if you have Sand King jump in there. So it's going to be difficult, and Dignitas definitely have to be vigilant, keeping up vision, making sure they don't get caught from behind like they were in that last instance. But their team fight's looking so strong. The 2 lockdowns are formidable. They have that called on. Now there's a BKB up on Gyrocopter and a lot of other disables to boot, whatever telekinesis and whatever skill Rubik steals thrown into the middle of the action. I really think Dignitas still have a slight advantage right now, but one more bad team fight will erase it entirely.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Korok is still ways away from his Lincoln Sphere, going with that Ultimate Orb right now. Meanwhile, what's actually kind of fallen off here, at least in my opinion, is the fact that they're not really ganking Korok anymore. But I think that's a byproduct of Liquid playing together. Korok is not with his team right now, as you can see. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, Fog getting caught out, but he has Shikuchi, so, he's fine. He's like, whatever, I'm just going to scuttle my way out of here like a Weaver would. But now they're going to go ahead and split push top as Aoi 2000, of course. He's got that flat cannon. Universe is going to make some treants. They can maybe Nature's Wrath. TPs should all be available for Liquid. You can see they're heading back up to the tier 2, tier 3 top. So they won't be able to split push into that. Really, they might be able to get this tower kill, but it's going to be tough. TC, Elder Dragon form. There's going to be some lockdown coming in from Way Too, but it got to cancel. The vacuum coming through as well. The call down. BKB's going to go. Universe should fall to this. The mech is flying from Bulba right now. They're staying alive in these fights. As you can see, the familiars are on the ground. Universe in some trouble. There's the Soul Assumption not doing anything with the right-click damage. The Dragon Tail right now. Now, IX Mike coming in with the Burrow Strike as well. Aoi 2000, the Epicenter is going to go. No, they get the kill, but it doesn't matter. The Epicenter got off. 1 for 2 trade. They wanted that tier 2 tower. They got too greedy from it. And like you said, they got initiated upon, and that was exactly what they didn't need. Losing Aoi, he did just pick up his BKB, and they wanted that tower. Universe will survive, and he will pick up his Orca Malevolence because of it, but at the same time, they only picked up the kill on IX Mike, and that was, I think, after Aoi died. So
yeah, that was surprisingly bad play once again. Now the tower's going to get denied up top. They also were indecisive. I mean, they didn't know if they wanted to stay or if they wanted to go. You could see half the team was retreating, and then all of a sudden AUI turned around to throw some extra auto attacks on. If you're running away, there's no reason to turn back and get some flat cannon hits off. You need to disengage entirely, and the communication seemed to be a little bit absent in that last instance, and they need to work on that a little bit better, because maybe they could have got away a little bit cleaner, or at least bought time for Snaking to get involved, and that would have probably made things a lot easier on their team, and probably wouldn't have lost the carry in that instance. And they end up losing that and allow Sanking to get in there and get an epicenter off as well. So pretty bad situation overall for Dignitas on the top lane.
I think the one good thing to look at, though, with that fight for Dignitas is that despite being outnumbered 3 versus, I guess, 5, I suppose, I think all 5 of them were there for Liquid, and correct me if I'm wrong, but despite being outnumbered, Dignitas still got a kill out of that, and so there is that to look forward to. And they also got Universe his item, and they got him out of there. So they still have, some damaging items. They've got a little bit more in terms of farm than, of course, Korok does. Korok is very close to that Lincoln Sphere now. He does need that recipe, which is, I'm actually going to consult the shop to find out how much. It is 13.25 for the recipe, I believe.
I was thinking
unless I'm reading that wrong.
Pre-patch was 18 something. You're right, 13. Oh man,
I know these numbers, John. That's why they pay me the big bucks here, obviously.
I'm so bad. I still think of it as the 18 because it's so expensive. It costs like 51.25 total, I guess now, and that is a lot of money to commit to a defensive item. You think about BKB being 1,200 less than that or something. So I mean, it is something. But of course, these abilities go through BKB, so it makes it essential. And we do see Batrider is working towards his BKB. Speaking of that, Bane, you mentioned still working for that mech. It's going to be a late mech, and I'm not sure. Honestly, the effectiveness of a mech after 30 minutes, I guess it does still have ups, and it's better than a lot of the alternatives that a Bane could go for instead of it, but it definitely at that point is
I don't
not
think
nearly
anybody
as
on
good an item.
Dignitas. I don't think anybody on Dignitas is going to be complaining about a mech heal at this point in time. They're like barely surviving in some of these team fights, and Bulba's just popping off that casual mech. He's like, yeah, we're fine. It's not even a problem, so don't even worry about it. But they're going to go for a Smoke Ink now. Bulba's going to go ahead and buy a BKB, which you don't see a whole lot in a Darkseer, but that doesn't really matter. I mean, there's a lot of magic ability and damages coming out, so that makes sense, I think. They're going to look for potentially a kill here, either on Snake King, who's fire flying around. Fogged is way out of position, as are Way 2 and Universe. Way 2 is a little bit less safe and comfortable. Smoke will reveal as Fog with that Shikuchi. Telekinesis spell was stolen. It's Epicenter, by the way. Just keep that in mind. Orchid's going to come out right now. As you can see, Universe coming in. He's going to try to TP out, but the Fiend's Grip is going to be used now. So Fiend's Grip is on cooldown. Fluff coming in from the backside. Snake King, of course. He can see those familiars now, and they know Korok is top. So they're in a good position. Dignitas with that smoke actually losing a hero, or excuse me, Liquid with that smoke actually losing a hero. Fluff's going to TP out of there, realizing he's in a bad position. Bulba's going to head back to the tier 3 in the mid lane, and this is what Dignitas want to do. They want to push this right now, and they have the ability to do so. Universe and Now 2000 starting to pump out some decent damage here, and I was going to go for the MKB, which is not surprising.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. And he really does need the extra damage up. But here's the
so
break.
Bulba, he's in some trouble right now. The Orchid as well. Bulba, the BKB is going to go. He's going to get that mech off right now. Big wall and vacuum going for Bulba. Bulba will fall down. 1-for-1 trade so far, but Universe might be next. Yes, Soul Assumption from Fluff and the right-click damage will be enough to take those 2 kills. Waitu's going to try to TP out. He will not make it in time. Korok doing enough damage. Just barely snaking. He's got to Force Staff and blink out of there if he can, but the Swarm bug is being so damn annoying. He can blink out now and will do so. But in the end, a 3-for-1 trade. They'll take down the tier 2 tower mid, but Bulba with a huge wall and vacuum coming out.
Yeah, and there's that bad team fight that just gives Liquid the lead. Now, I understand why you want to go ahead and use your lockdown on Darkseer. It's a good decision, honestly, but you have to kill him within the time of the lasso. You can't commit that much damage to the Darkseer and let him still get off his wall and vacuum, because then he's done his job. It doesn't matter. He popped his mech, he hit the wall, hit a perfect vacuum, and he's dead at that point after you focus on him even further. Then you're going to be in a lot of trouble because Korok comes in, cleanup duty on the back end. TC's free to roam around in the fight and stun off and deal damage to whomever he decides to. And he's now level 17, so he has the blue dragon form as well. And then Fluff, of course, with his Aghanims, is hitting really hard because he has the 3 familiars and the Soul Assumption. So if you're going to commit to somebody, they have to die. Darkseer could not live there, and that was the case.
Absolutely, and Fluff's also going to have a Force Staff on the back end of that as well pretty soon. He's got the Ring of Regen, in fact, so he's got it completed now. Maelstrom's going out for DK. for, of course, TC, and that's really nice to have. Yeah, I mean, that last fight, you talk about committing on Bulba, and it just didn't work for them because he did get that mech off in time. The Orchid and the Amplify damage, it wasn't enough to take him down quickly, and I think that's why they need to get a few more items up for IW 2000, especially that MKB, which is pretty close to being completed here. He's got enough for the Demon Edge, and I think he needs like 500-ish more. Well, nope. Yep. Roughly about 500 more gold to pick up that Demon Edge now as he picks up the second Javelin. And once he has that MKB, they can maybe start thinking about really fighting here. Because he is sitting at 13,000 net worth with Universe here. And, of course, Snake King sitting at 10,000 with that Blink, with, of course, the Force Staff. And he wants to get that BKB, and it should be flying out to him right now. Yeah, the BKB is done for Snake King, so that is a good sign coming out from Dignitas. But you mentioned it, that was the one fight that pretty much shouldn't go the way of Liquid, and it did, and they were able to pick up an Aegis on the back end of that with Korok grabbing that. So, and where it stands now is that it's kind of anyone's game at this point, I think, here.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note that Darkseer has that BKB and has had that BKB. This is a really Asian-favored build. They like to get the BKBs from the Darkseer. And this game in particular, you could see why it's valid because there is an Orchid in play, so being able to remove that is tremendous for the Darkseer. But also just dodging some of this extra damage is cool too. And I'm curious to see if Western Dota is going to really take this on and make use of it on a consistent basis, because it is an interesting idea, but we said 3,900 gold for a BKB. That could be towards a sheep. That would put you 2/3 of the way to a sheep, really. So it's kind of a weird trade-off when you consider it, but certainly does work for him in that last instance, keeping him alive for a long time. And Liquid are looking to try and now get a little bit more map control. I'd like to see a gem come out at this point, just so they can take down some of this vision from Dignitas. Dignitas have a lot of vision centralized in the middle part of the map, and even in the jungle of the Dire. So if they can get rid of some of that, they'd be feeling really comfortable, considering they had the familiars roaming around for vision as well. But now it looks like Snake King might find Fluff.
Yeah, and Fluff may be in some trouble here. Blink forward. The lasso is going to go. The spell shield actually was used on Korok as the silence is going as well. The call down. Fluff in some trouble. Fluff will fall. Snake King grabbing that kill as well. Now roaming through TC as well as the rest of Liquid, just looking to maybe back out to home. Korok, Aegis reclaimed in 3 minutes, so he still has some time with that. Even if he gets caught out, the Aegis will be there to save him from a death. But not much more than that. He also has that Lincoln Sphere. It was popped from Universe, who was chasing after him, but really not that big of a deal. And now Dignitas looking to be aggressive, but they're a little spread out. Universe is going to TP down to that bottom lane and just push that back out. So Dignitas is going to have to back off here from the mid lane, back across the river, and they say, well, let's not do anything hasty here. And some caution pings are going, and those Fluff Familiars are still flying around, maybe looking for somebody that can still do some decent damage. And Universe is going to go ahead and push out that bottom lane, like I talked about. And at this point, Korok is actually still getting... He's actually getting room now for farm. He's got 3,300 gold here. What's the next item choice for him? Does he go for another defensive item like the BKB, or does he start going offensive here?
I think in this game he has to go for an offensive item just because his damage is starting to drop off. Dragonite can't really fulfill that role, so he needs something like an MKB, something like... I would say Desolator, but I think Desolator is probably a little bit later in the game and it isn't as effective as it would have been as it was last game. So I think MKB is probably the best choice for him right now. And if he doesn't go for the MKB, then that's pretty much the go-ahead for Gyrocopter to build a Butterfly as well. So it's going to be important in that regard. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the choice that Korok should make and will make. It was also interesting to note that Fluff on that death, he was worth almost 800 gold. There was a huge bounty on his head because he was on a monster killing spree. So they got a lot of money for snaking on that kill. It's not often you see a support dropping, hand over 800 gold to the opposition.
Listen, man, we talked about it. We talked about Fluff's Visage. I mean, we know what it can do. We've seen it firsthand, and maybe even a while ago as well. But, like, you know, I can think back to Fluff playing Visage probably in Ecal on Complexity a while ago, and he's played it to a great effect here today, as you can see. With those 3 familiars roaming around, he's got 8 kills. You mentioned he was on a pretty long killing spree. It was a monster kill. So that's it's pretty good for him. And now Dignitas is going to group up together up top, except for, of course, Snake King, who's getting bro struck, but he actually popped that BKB. So Mike is now stuck here in the trees. He's like, all right, well, what do I do now? By the way, Mike has not picked up a Blink or Arcane Boots up until this point. So that is also kind of a problem. He's sitting at level 9, and that's actually, I think, a big deal that we haven't talked about yet, is Mike Mike's effectiveness in these team fights, because at least you look at Fog, he's level 11, he's got level 2 spell steal, which is pretty good. I mean, level 2 spell steal and level 1 spell steal, not that different except for the duration. But still, I think that Mike's effectiveness with that level 1 epicenter, not that great right now. But Fluff, of course, is more than making up for it with those 3 familiars. And TC picks up the Milner as well, by the way.
Yeah, these are all good items coming out across the board, but you're right, those levels are definitely lacking for Sand King, but that's just the nature of the game, playing Sand King against a hero like a Gyrocopter, because Sand King has to get close in for his initiation, and all of a sudden he's taking a ton of damage from Flat Cannon, from Rocket Barrage, from Cooldown, and not to mention there's a Bat Rider in here as well, so he's walking on fire, and it really just is treacherous, so he has to sacrifice his life every single time he goes in for the most part, and it makes it a very difficult hero to play. But you gotta do what you gotta do. So give props to Mike for persevering. Yeah. But the Blink Dagger, I mean, it's gonna be tough for him to find that money and stay alive long enough to actually get it. So they are really all in on Darkseer initiation, or maybe even Dragonite initiation in some cases. And it's just been working out for Liquid so far. It's a little bit surprising because you think those heroes aren't nearly as good as a Sand King jumping in with an Epi Burrow Strike would be, but they definitely have done a good job in this game hitting those big skills, the big vacuums, and then disabling the right targets. But now that a Sheep is out for Universe, maybe this is a good timing for Dignitas. He is spotted up by a really nice ward placement in the Liquid jungle, so he has to be careful if Korok decides to go on top of him. Korok did buy out the BKB, so he did go a really safe build. Interesting to note. But if he goes on him here and he has anyone come respond from his team and it looks like they're coming in, this could be trouble. Universe won't have buyback money, I think.
Look at this hiding spot. He's going to immediately Shadow Blade away. He's going to go into the jungle, just try to maybe TP out. He knows where the response is coming from because you can see that ward right there. My map just making all sorts of weird drawings there as I hit my control button. Universe is going to TP out. Like you said, Korok was ready to go on him there. He's actually hiding in this little sneaky area here. But with a nice ward placement coming up from Dignitas. And by the way, they have map control because Fogged is able to get up a gem right now and counter ward pretty effectively. They're not going to find the 2 wards until they head down to the jungle, by the way. But still, Universe stays alive, which is really important. He's got a lot of gold on him, and he's got a, pretty decent. He's actually leading the net worth chart by 2,000, as you can see here. Looking at levels, though, we talked about it. Mike is close to 11 at this point. Here comes the response from Liquid. They're going to go ahead and fortify this, but Snake King's in a good position here to maybe jump on somebody, lasso them, and get them out of this fight. But it looks like they don't want to fight here. They don't have Aoi 2000, so Dignitas will do the smart thing, back off, Universe TP's out of there. And Aoi's just going to go ahead and farm. As you talked about, since there's no MKB up on Korok now, he can go for that butterfly, no holds bar. So I think that's the smart move coming out from Aoi.
Yeah, it's a really smart move from Aoi, and it is kind of a response play. You wait, because if that MKB comes up, then you have to switch your build a little bit and maybe go for a different item in that instance. But he sees it, and it's a go-ahead, so pick it up because it's going to be extremely valuable, more so than if an MKB was in play. And it's going to make him so much more tanky and tough to deal with in the middle of these fights. I mean, he's already a problem because of the fact that there isn't a great deal of physical damage on Liquid's side, but it's going to be even more so the case with that evasion in play. As we see, both teams are just going to play a passive game. They're going to play a farming game. But I think in a farming game, I said it in the pregame, Liquid loses. Dignitas have a better late-game team. You're looking at Nature's Prophet and a Gyrocopter. So we'll see if they can try and fight here on the bottom.
Yeah, they're actually going to catch out way too sexy. He's just going to try to TP out right now. The nice vacuum coming out from Bulba, which actually makes IX Mike lose, of course, that Burrow Strike damage. But it doesn't matter. They cancel the TP and they got the kill. And Waitsu going down. Not a huge deal, but still a kill going for Liquid's way is exactly what they want at this point in time. And it also gives them a little bit more map control right now with, of course, Rush spawning in just a few seconds. There still is a nice experience lead, which actually rebounded for Dignitas quite well, back from about 0 to 5,000. They've also got a 10,000 gold lead as well. So somehow Dignitas, they're keeping their foot on the gas pedal here despite not really getting a whole lot done except for getting towers, getting a few pickoffs as well. But it looks like Liquid is roaming around this Roche pit here. You can see the timer is about to pop, and Roshan will go ahead and say hi to everybody. But I'm not sure if Liquid could really contest this right now. I'm not sure if they want to do it now. Same with Dignitas without Way Too Sexy. I don't know what they're going to be able to accomplish here. But Gyrocopter very close to his butterfly. Of course, he's got enough for that Talisman of Evasion, and then the quarterstaff afterward is really the big problem, which is going to be done soon. So, I mean, he's going to have those 2 items, which will complete up that butterfly, get his invasion going, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a really awkward Roche because Liquid on the dire side have the vacuum available. They have the epicenter, which will be able to get off if you're trying to fight in that confined area and deal a lot of damage. So I think both teams are going to be reluctant to try and press for the Roche here without getting a pick beforehand, and that's probably the right decision because it would be a sticky fight. I'm not exactly sure who would come out better, but it seems like Liquid with a lot of good team fight AoE abilities would be poised to have a pretty solid team fight there. But middle lane, there's a little bit of push aggression coming out from the side of Liquid. They're trying to march forward, but I really want Liquid to be a little bit more aggressive here. And on the flip side, I think Dignitas are perfectly fine with being entirely passive, just playing it cool like they're playing. That Butterfly's in play. They're trying to get the buyback gold on AUI 2000 now, and then they'll be in a really happy place. And Liquid just need to try and find something out. Maybe they should start the Roche and try and force a fight there, or push out one of these lanes. But it feels like they've really been on a back heel for quite a while now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about Dignitas just waiting, and I think that's pretty much their play style in a nutshell. Dignitas like to get that, lead secured, essentially. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Korok is hexed up silence as well. He has the time lapse, and he might be able to use it. In fact, will do so. Korok should get out of there just fine. The Sentry Ward was placed down. Universe trying to do enough damage in the meantime. Not going to happen. They are going to go into Roche now, and this is tough. You talked about all the AoE abilities that they have on Liquid side, and they might go ahead and use them here for this fight. Snaking, though, he's on that Batrider. He's got complete vision and control of this Roche pit right now if he wants it. He can be as aggressive as he wants. Surge coming in from IX Mike, and that might be a little bit of a bait. The Flame Break going through, way too sexy, getting stunned there. BKB's going for pretty much everybody. The wall is on the ground, no vacuum available. Nice usage from Snaking to get him out of that fight. TC taking some damage, backing back in. Universe, Mecha barely saving his life. TC trying to get in the Roche pit. He's gonna go down. Meanwhile, Universe might fall. Fluff's gonna grab that kill. Desolator for Korok right now, doing some damage. Snaking, backing off. Now he's going to take a soul assumption to the face, and his right clicks coming out from Fluff as well. Double kill again for Fluff. Meanwhile, IO2000 picking up a kill, this time on Korok. He's down for 83 seconds. Fluff telekinesis on the high ground. He's got to TP out of there. There's no way they're going to get him. They don't have sheep, it looks like. Yeah, the sheep was on cooldown. And more buybacks coming out right now. I want to see who bought back in that fight. Two heroes, one of them from the side of Dignitas that was snaking. The other one was TC from Liquid, but still, Aoi 2000 going unchecked in that fight, picking up some huge kills. I didn't have a lot of those kills on camera, unfortunately. Sorry, but
Universe also bought back.
Did he really? Did I miss that?
Yeah, he bought back because he died on the high ground to a soul assumption.
Oh, you're right. Visage. Dang it.
So, but those are really crucial buybacks. And Gyrocopter getting the Aegis as well was tremendous for them, and him surviving throughout the whole fight. Now has 3,400 gold. The tower goes down in favor of Dignitas. And they're looking really strong right now and poised to try and even up this series. And that is huge for their morale, considering the rough day of Dota they've had so far today. They've really found something that they can work with in this lineup, in this match, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it all really stems from just shutting down Korok as early as possible. Korok has gotten some items now, but he's not nearly where he should be in comparison to what Aoi has, in comparison to what Universe have. They're in a position right now where they're feeling comfortable. Meanwhile, Lasso going in long range on IX Mike, and they'll instantly take that kill. And you remember, cooldown for Lasso's pretty low at level 3, so I mean that's not a big deal to use that this early on. They're going to go for Raxes right now. Fortification's going to fly. Korok's back up, as you can see, and TC as well. But everybody is here for Dignitas. Aoi's got that Aegis still up available, and he's also got that Reaver. Now TC's going to come in and stun him right now. BKB going for everybody. Wall, vacuum. Aoi's going to get that Aegis used. He's got to back off. Waitsu's backing off as well, but here comes Universe right now trying to do some damage. Aoi's going to come right back up, and he's going to take some damage here. He's got that BKB going right now. As you can see, Call Down doing so much damage to the Flat Cannon as well. The Rocket Barrage. Bulba trying to get out of there. Snaking getting ahead. Bulba, Flame Break. Snaking gets the kill. Double kill for Snaking. Fluff trying to get out. Not going to happen. Dignitas, they take 3. They might take 4. Double kill for Korok, but it doesn't matter. Universe grabs the other kill. And now we do see a buyback coming in from Korok right now, but we do see the Raxes going down as well. IX Mike's here. Lasso again. IX Mike, he just used it on him. Mike's got to be like, are you kidding me? Flame Break, the silence is going. Mike's going to fall down from Universe. Triple kill for him. Korok looking for more. The Familiars coming in doing some nice work there. But now 4 down on the side of Liquid. The only one alive is Korok. Wall's finally down. Universe can finally walk out of there okay with it. And they will take a set of racks, and they're very, very poised to go to game number 3 here, tied at 1-1.
Yeah, just an amazing sequence from Dignitas, and you could see exactly what that Aegis did for Dignitas, with AUI coming back alive and then popping off his BKB and just standing there and dishing out damage to all of Liquid surrounding him. He didn't care that they were close up on him or that they were focusing on him. He was just able to maximize his damage output. With the Butterfly, he was hard to take down. With the BKB active, even more difficult, and he does a tremendous amount of damage. It's interesting to note that Weaver did go for that Desolator instead of the MKB, which would help him significantly when trying to deal with the Gyrocopter. And now Batrider will pick up A shotgun.
Shotgun Bat Rider, the
Shotgun
king.
Bat Rider.
Because I mean, that's what he does. And Universe with that triple kill, Sahil O'Neal is getting things done there. So nicely done from the side of Dignitas so far. This game's still not out of reach from Liquid just yet, but it's getting very close. I mean, there's a 20,000 lead going for gold for Dignitas and a 15,000 experience lead. And you mentioned the Desolator. I got to agree with you there. I mean, I'm not sure. I think Korok just wanted damage to kill everybody else, and I don't think he was too concerned about Owie. I think he was more concerned about getting everybody else down in those fights. And he could do a lot of damage. We saw him get a double kill in that fight. And meanwhile, Snaking taking some damage there. There's the Swarm. He's going to go ahead and use that Ghost Scepter, that Ethereal Blade, if you will, and just back out right now, realizing that he might not be in the best position. So Korok's going to still chase after him, by the way. You can see he's down the river. Nope. Decides against it. Never mind. And so with this lead, I think that Dignitas probably wait for the next Roche, which is, 4 or 5 minutes from now, and then decide to go for another fight. Because even with that Aegis, that was still kind of a tough fight for them. Despite how much of a lead they've gotten, that's still not the easiest fight in the world. So, and actually, there's the dust coming in. IX Mike going to go ahead and use that epicenter as well. Universe in some trouble right now. IX Mike taking some damage, but Universe has to try to get out of there. Nice Sprout doesn't necessarily matter. Universe will in fact fall down. IX Mike taking a lot of damage though from it, as of course he did a nice job hexing up the side of Korok so that he couldn't get anything done in terms of trying to help IX Mike. But in the end, it didn't matter. Snaking now in a rough position. He's going to go ahead and Firefly, force-staff himself forward. Dignitas now running away essentially from the side of Liquid. They don't want to have to try to fight this without one of their carries, who's down for 68 seconds.
Yeah, and Jarkov, they're 700 gold away from finishing off the Satanic as well. Yeah. So that's going to be huge for him. There's no reason to fight before he gets that at all. They're going to avoid conflict 100%. And this is a chance for Liquid to try and press here, to try and go on and get a tower. But buyback is available, I believe. Yes, no, 42 seconds. Yeah, so it won't actually be available. So this is going to be probably a tower for Liquid, but they're not going to get much more than that here. It's still not going to be on time with Roshan, and that is a shame, really. And it's still difficult for them to push, so they're actually going to back up.
Yeah, because Owie 2000 was split pushing bottom, so Korok's like, I got to come and clean this up. And they're I'm sure they're not happy about that. But at the same time, with the amount of a deficit that they're facing, it's not going to be easy. I mean, it shouldn't be easy. I mean, you're not going to get one pick off on Universe and be able to push into a Tier 3. Obviously, that's not what you were suggesting. Tier 2 should have fallen maybe if Owie wasn't pushing in there. But still a rough game for Liquid right now. And by no means have they played poorly. I think Liquid have played their game, as perfectly as possible. Kork's just had a tough time getting room to farm, essentially. He finally has gotten it done, but at the same time now he is going for that MKB. He's got that Demon Edge up, which means the MKB is not too far behind, but at this point it's not necessarily going to matter because you have that Satanic done for Owie 2000. He's almost 6 slotted too. So he's in a good position, and Universe is also in a very good position. I mean, he's got an MKB, Midas, he's got the Shadow Blade as well as the Orchid, and of course the Side Device. So he's got a lot of different utility coming out for the side of Dignitas. And with that, IX Mike's still level 12, doesn't have Arcane Boots. He's got enough to buy them, but I think he's just going to save for buyback at this point. The Aghanims and the Force Staff for Fluff. Looking at the carries for the side of Liquid, you see that Bulba's, well, he's not really the carry, but he is going for that Mystic Staff, so it might be a Side Device, might be for the Shiva's Guard. BKB and Mjolnir are done in TC, and he's also got an Ultimate Orb, which could be a number of things at this point.
Yeah, I think Liquid probably wouldn't want to be the aggressor at this point because of the state their base is in, and they're up against a Nature's Prophet. But if they can find a smoke gank and get onto the Gyrocopter before he gets his first BKB off, that is absolutely their best opportunity. But now that they're pinned back to the base, it's going to be very difficult to fight this team head on, or even wait to try and contest the next Roshan, because they're going to have so much control setting that up, and instead they're just going to go straight for the racks here, the 48-minute mark.
Yeah, and that fortification, maybe not at the best time. As you can see, the Tier 3 did in fact go down. So now Blink coming in, TC in some trouble with that lasso going. BKB's going to get popped. IX Mike, he's trying to channel, unfortunately wasn't able to do so. Double kill going for Owie right now. Triple kill with the Flat Cannon. He just cleans everything up, but mass buybacks coming from Liquid. TC not able to do so. Meanwhile, Fluff going to get silenced. Homing Missile, he 4 steps back and forth. He can't get into a good position. He'll fall down as well. Gem on the ground. Waitu will pick that up. Expose Raxes, and you got to assume that this is close to GG here. IX Mike, he tried to use that Epi. I don't think it got off, and GG will be called. Game number 2 is going to go for Dignitas, so despite having a rough day of Dota, they have tied this back up, and still this is a best-of-5 series, ladies and gentlemen, so it doesn't necessarily matter what happens. They did call GG. IX Mike going to go ahead and stun right now, and they'll take down this next set of racks here. But it doesn't matter what happens. Best-of-5 series, tied at 1. We're going to have at least 4 games here, and pretty exciting stuff. So
Yeah, this has been an amazing game so far. So I really do like the way Dignitas were able to respond. You really can be down after losing 4 games of Dota in a day. Well, 5 actually, including the first game of this series. That's almost 5 hours of Dota, really, and no victory. You can get demoralized, but Dignitas have proven that they are consummate professionals. They're going to rebound well with this game and take a pretty decisive victory. I mean, there were definitely points where Liquid looked the better side, but for the most part, Dignitas were solid throughout the entirety of the game on the back of that AUI gyrocopter, and much better play from Snake in this game on the Batrider. So you have to give credit to him. We criticized him for being over-aggressive at times. He definitely played a lot safer on the Batrider in this game, so give credit where credit is due.
yeah, absolutely. And you talked about Snaking having good and bad games, and I think one of these games, this game in particular, definitely one of his good games right now. But of course, 1-1 is the score for the series, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you check out AmericanDotaLeague.com. This is the ADL playoffs, the semifinals right now. Winner will move on and go to the finals, of course. You can check us out. My name is Mont. You can follow me at twitter.com/MontDota2. With me tonight is NYJohn. You can follow him at twitter.com/NYJohnTV. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to jump into game number 3 in just a moment, guys. So we'll be right back. Hold on tight.